Discover the incredible life-changing message from a single mom. You won't believe what happened. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, where the plains stretched endlessly beneath vast, blue skies, lived Sarah, a single mom, determined to change the narrative of struggle that her family had known for far too long. At 38, she was a warrior, juggling two jobs while nurturing dreams for her teenage son, Ethan. Each day began before the sun rose, her heart heavy with determination and love, knowing the weight of their future rested on her shoulders. Ethan had stars in his eyes, dreaming of college, a life beyond the stagnation that had woven its way around their lives like an unwelcome, heavy blanket. But as economic turmoil settled over the town, shops began to close, and families moved on, seeking greener pastures. Sarah watched in despair as her small cleaning business dwindled, savings slipping away like sand through her fingers. The dream of helping Ethan attend college felt distant, almost mocking her as it hung in the air. The embers of disappointment burned in her chest, a constant reminder of the hard-fought battles yet to face. Amidst this storm, a betrayal rocked the community. A beloved council member was caught embezzling funds meant for revitalizing their town. The news stung like a sharp slap, igniting frustration and anger among neighbors who had once stood shoulder to shoulder. Accusations flew like arrows, and the fabric of their tight-knit community began to unravel. In the swirling chaos of emotions, Sarah found herself at a precipice. A job offer in a nearby city dangled like a beacon of hope, promising a brighter future for Ethan. Yet, leaving behind the only home he had known, the community that had enveloped them in connection, gnawed at her heart. She felt pulled in two directions: her dreams for Ethan's future against the loyalty she felt for those who surrounded her in this time of need. Then, a chance meeting with a weathered Vietnam War veteran changed everything. His stories echoed with sacrifice and resilience, words weaving through her heart and igniting a flicker of hope. He talked about the importance of staying connected, how communities thrive on unity. His voice painted pictures, vivid and raw, of the strength that arises from shared struggles. Exactly what Sarah needed to hear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when the shadows seemed insurmountable, a ray of light broke through. Neighbors began to rally around Sarah in the most unexpected way, pledging to support her and Ethan as they fought to stay in the town that needed them. The warmth of their solidarity was palpable, yet a flicker of doubt lingered in the back of her mind. Could this community truly hold together when times got tough? As the town's identity struggled to resurface amid economic ruin, Sarah faced an unmistakable choice. Would she chase after a new life, or stand steadfast in the fight for her roots? With Ethan's future hanging in the balance and uncertainty clouding their shared path, she felt the weight of her choice pressing heavy on her heart. Could one person's journey kindle a flame of hope to inspire a community in turmoil? The answer loomed just out of reach, igniting the question that would shape their lives. The following days felt like a whirlwind for Sarah. The town was buzzing, people filled with newfound purpose, and it was infectious. Small meetings sprang up in backyards, churches, and even at the local diner. The mood lifted like the dawn after a long, dark night. Yet, every light came with a flicker of doubt. While Sarah watched her neighbors pull together, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that it might not last. Ethan noticed his mom's unease. He saw her distracted smile when the neighbors offered their support, but couldn't ignore the way her eyes occasionally clouded over. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked one evening, leaning against the kitchen counter, his backpack still slung over one shoulder. She ruffled his hair and forced a smile. "Just thinking about everything, sweetie. It's a lot to take in." He nodded, peering into her eyes with the kind of insight that marked his teenage years. "You know you don't have to do this alone, right? We're in this together." His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, easing some of the weight pressing down on her chest. Still, the uncertainty loomed large. The job offers in the city lingered in the back of her mind like a siren call, pulling her with the promise of financial stability. That evening, she found herself sitting on the porch. The sun was setting, painting the sky in strokes of orange and pink. The world around her quieted. She could hear laughter from the street, the familiar voices of friends and neighbors willing to join in fighting for the town's survival. They were coming together to revitalize what remained, and the spirit of unity felt like something almost sacred. But the question still loomed, could they truly overcome the economic storm? As she sipped her coffee, a figure emerged from the twilight. It was Mr. Davidson, the veteran who had sparked something in her before. He approached with a weathered smile, betraying a kindness and wisdom born of years of battles fought both at home and abroad. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, settling onto the porch step, his gaze drifting toward the horizon. "Of course not," Sarah replied, grateful for the company. "You know, I wanted to talk to you about something," he began. "I've seen a lot of hardship in my day, and it can feel overwhelming. But I'm telling you, there is something special here." He gestured toward the sounds of laughter that filled the air. "People are starting to believe again. But they need leaders, Sarah. They need people to help steer the ship." Her heart raced. Part of her wanted to brush off the idea, to dismiss it as too much to take on. Yet another part, the warrior inside her, hesitated. "Me?" she asked, surprised at the possible weight of the responsibility. "Why not?" he answered, looking her in the eye. "You have a fire in you. You've already inspired others. Just imagine what you could do if you stoke that fire. You could be a catalyst, a bridge. You could lead the charge." As Mr. Davidson spoke, Sarah's heart surged with a feeling she had almost forgotten. Hope, real, tangible hope. Could she really step into that role? It felt daunting, yet exhilarating, too. The doubts still lingered, but they were mixed with growing excitement. With the right kind of unity, they just might overcome the impending tide. But as night fell, casting soft shadows over the porch, she felt a twist of uncertainty. Was she truly ready to step into the light, to make that kind of difference? As she and Mr. Davidson continued to talk, a new purpose began to take shape in Sarah's heart. But she knew she would need to gather more than just her own courage. She'd need the community united, and their trust as well. How could she rally everyone when her own path was still uncertain? As her thoughts swirled, one question echoed. Could Sarah find the strength to steer her family and her community toward a brighter future? The next morning, a determined energy coursed through Sarah as she awoke. The day felt different, charged with a promise she had yet to fully understand. After a quick breakfast, she found Ethan already gathering his things. He looked up and smiled, a spark of encouragement in his eyes. "Big day?" he asked with a teasing grin, as if sensing her newfound resolve. "You could say that," she replied, her heart racing with both excitement and anxiety. "I think it's time to find out what we can do together." Determined, Sarah harnessed her spirit and headed out. The crisp morning air met her outside, invigorating her senses. She passed neighbors exchanging greetings, and their smiles felt like tiny embers kindling her internal fire. "Sarah," called out Ms. Harper, a sweet elderly lady who lived a few houses down. "Are you coming to the meeting at the church tonight?" "I am now," Sarah responded, a surge of inspiration flowing through her. "I really want to talk about what we can do as a community." The warmth in Ms. Harper's expression filled Sarah with hope. "That's the spirit. We need voices like yours to remind us we can make a difference." As the day wore on, Sarah busied herself with preparations for that evening's meeting. Word spread quickly, and Sarah found herself drafting a list of ideas: community gardens, pop-up markets, skill-sharing workshops. Every suggestion felt like a puzzle piece falling into place, showing her the picture she longed to create for their town. That by afternoon, she gathered with a few neighbors to brainstorm. They chatted and laughed, tossing out ideas like confetti in the breeze. With every suggestion, Sarah's fears began to soften into resolve. But what she didn't expect was the disruption that followed. News flared up on social media about the old mill on the edge of town. The owners were looking to sell, and the price was rumored to be far lower than expected. Sarah's mind raced. That mill could become the town's hub, a community center with space for all their dreams. Maybe we should come together and buy it," she blurted out, excitement cracking her voice. As soon as the words left her lips, she felt a wave of anxiousness wash over her. Would they even have the funds? Was it feasible? Ethan, sitting close by, looked at her with wide eyes. You really think we can pull something like that off? It might just be a crazy idea, she admitted, feeling both daring and terrified, but we have to believe we can enact change. All of us. The energy around the group shifted, curiosity replacing the earlier excitement. They began to ponder the implications, murmurs of disbelief mixed with intrigue. Yet, Sarah didn't let doubt seep in. Instead, she stoked the fire within them, sharing stories of other towns that had risen through collective action. We can be more than passive bystanders, she declared, conviction in her voice. We could create something that lasts, something that pulls us together. The atmosphere thickened with possibility. People began discussing potential fundraising ideas, organizing community events, and reaching out for small business grants. Sarah felt the rhythm of something beautiful stirring, their collective heartbeat echoing with a tempo of hope. But in the back of her mind, uncertainty lingered. Could they really band together to save the mill? What if it was all too ambitious? The weight of leadership began to press down again as the sun sank low, casting long shadows. Sarah noticed Mr. Davidson approaching, his eyes sparkling with interest. Sounds like you are igniting something special. Sarah's stomach fluttered. We have a chance, but I'm terrified it could slip away. He placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Fear is part of the journey. Embrace it. It means you're doing something important. His words echoed in her mind, lifting her spirits. She turned back to the group, heart pounding with fresh determination. Just then, someone caught her attention, their voice cutting through the buzz. What if we make our first project a community meeting? We can all decide if we want to go after that. Mill together. Gasps filled the air. Excitement surged through everyone, blossoming hopes and shared ideas. With each new voice, every suggestion, the vision expanded. As Sarah looked at their eager faces, it occurred to her. She wasn't just stepping into leadership on her own. She was part of something far bigger than herself now, resembling the community she once feared wouldn't endure. And just as joy began to blanket her uncertainties, Sarah saw a figure lingering at the back, a familiar face she didn't expect. It was someone she had thought was lost to the town. What is he doing here? She wondered, heart quickening in both dread and curiosity. Could this unexpected visitor be the key to what they were trying to build? Sarah's heart raced as she locked eyes with the man at the back of the room. It was Luke, her childhood friend, someone who had once been part of her daily life. She hadn't seen him in years. Memories rushed in like a tide, filling her mind with laughter and shared secrets. But the years had changed him. The light that had once danced in his eyes was now muted, shadowed by something she couldn't quite place. Luke? She called, her voice soft, barely above a whisper. He stepped forward, a tentative smile cracking his serious demeanor. Hey, Sarah. It's been a while. Yeah, it really has, she stammered. What are you doing back in town? He took a deep breath, glancing at the faces gathered around. I just moved back. Needed a fresh start. Heard about the meeting and thought I'd check it out. The room buzzed around them, but Sarah felt as if they were in their own bubble. She could sense the eyes of her neighbors darting between them. Curiosity piqued. But right now, all she could focus on was Luke's presence. Somehow, it felt comforting and unsettling at the same time. What do you think? She asked, nodding towards the group. We're trying to save the old mill. We have some ideas to bring the community together. Luke's eyebrows lifted, genuine interest shining through the worry lines etched on his forehead. The mill? That's ambitious. Ambitious is the word, Sarah said, forcing her nerves to settle. But we have to try, right? We can't just watch it slip away. He studied her for a moment, a flicker of admiration in his gaze. It's good to see you taking charge. You always had a way of bringing people together. A warmth washed over her. They might have been distant friends, but he had just brought back a piece of her confidence. She glanced back at the group, which was now buzzing with enthusiasm. Ideas were flying, voices overlapping, all interlinked with a thread of purpose. Okay, everyone, she called out, trying to regroup the scattered energies. We have someone here who just moved back, Luke. He is interested in what we're doing. Let us give him an overview. The room turned towards Luke, and as he spoke, she watched the way he engaged with their ideas, the way he made connections people hadn't considered. Every laugh he elicited, every nod of agreement brightened the atmosphere. She couldn't help but feel grateful. He was breathing new life into the gathering, But amidst the camaraderie, a whisper of dread coiled in her stomach. What if Luke wasn't the only one with a past? A past that could unravel everything she was trying to build. As the discussions flowed, Sarah felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. Would Luke stay? Could he play a crucial role in their plans? Alternatively, would he bring the weight of old wounds that could fracture their community at its most fragile stage? It was a chance for the town rebirth, yet it also came with strings tied to memories she thought were buried. Just as she began to find optimism again, another figure entered the room, interrupting her thoughts. It was Carla, the town's skeptic. Known for her critical outlook, she had the ability to blunt even the brightest of hopes. Sarah's heartbeat quickened at the sight of her. "I hope it's not too late for a reality check," Carla said, her voice cutting through the growing excitement. What would she say? What challenge would she pose that might drag them down? Sarah felt a knot forming in her stomach again, anger bubbling beneath the surface. But even as fear clawed at her, she felt the eyes of her neighbors Luke's encouraging glance, the warmth from people who now believed in this mission. Perhaps the arena was set for challenges, but she couldn't back down. "Not now. Let us hear it, Carla," Sarah replied, her voice steady even to her own ears. "What is your reality?" The room shrunk around them as anticipation built in the air, everyone leaning in to listen. Sarah could feel her heart pounding as she waited. The moment hung like a fragile thread, ready to snap. What would Carla unleash? Was this new venture about to hit a wall before it even began? Carla crossed her arms, her expression skeptical. "I just don't want you all to get your hopes up too high. The mill has been out of commission for years. Do you seriously think you can raise enough money to save it? And who is going to come together for this? People are busy. They don't have time for nostalgia." Her words hung in the air like a heavy fog. Sarah's heart sank. This wasn't what she had wanted. She scanned the crowd, searching for support in their faces. Disappointment flickered in a few eyes, but she recognized Luke's firm stance. He was still with her. "People are tired of standing by while things fall apart," Sarah countered, determined. "We're looking for ways to create community events, build pride in our town. It's not just about the mill, it's about us." Some murmurs of agreement rippled through the group. Sarah felt that faint hope spark again, but Carla wasn't done. She leaned in, advancing like a hawk ready to swoop down. "And what is the plan if you fail? It's a big risk. What if you end up disappointing everyone?" This time, Sarah's voice rose above the chatter, filled with a mix of passion and defiance. "What if we succeed, Carla? What if we can bring back something everyone thought was gone? It's worth trying, isn't it?" Luke shifted his weight, stepping closer to Sarah as if to shield her. "Every project has risks, but we can't live in fear of failing. That's how we stay stuck," he added, his gaze moving to everyone in the room. The atmosphere shifted slightly. Pockets of people started nodding. Sarah seized the moment, her heart full of cheer. "We'll work together. We'll brainstorm and come up with realistic goals. If we fail, we do it together. At least we'll have tried." Carla narrowed her eyes, contemplating. But before she could respond, an unexpected voice chimed in from the back of the room. It was Mr. Jenkins, the town's retired school principal, known for his wisdom and drive. "I believe we can make this happen. Every great endeavor starts with a dream and a band of willing hearts. If we have enough support, we can raise the funds and do more than just save the mill, we can revitalize our community." A wave of energy surged through the group like a rallying cry. People began to speak up, suggesting ideas, sharing their skills and passions. Luke's enthusiasm grew, and he began taking notes, jotting down every thought that came forward. But Carla remained silent, her face a mix of frustration and disbelief. The air hummed with excitement, a stark contrast to the earlier tension, and Sarah savored that feeling. For the first time, she could see a way forward. Yet as the frenzy of planning began, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was still lurking in the shadows. Carla's skepticism was a thorn that would take time to remove, but it wasn't the only concern. The past weighed heavily on Luke, and what had pulled him back into town I need to know, she thought. As the meeting wrapped up, Sarah turned to Luke. "Are you really going to be part of this? I mean, really?" His expression softened. "I wouldn't miss it, Sarah. But we need to talk about everything. The past is a bigger story than I've let on." Before she could respond, Carla interrupted, her arms still crossed, eyes sharp. "You all might want to keep your heads on straight. Once you dig deeper, you might find something you're not ready to handle. Sarah felt a shiver run down her spine. What did Carla know? How much of the past would resurface to haunt them? As they exited the meeting, Luke caught her eye, his brow furrowed with a mix of determination and uncertainty. "We'll figure this out together," he assured her, but a flicker of doubt crossed his face as they walked out into the cool night air. A feeling of weight settled on her chest. Would the future hold hope or bring back haunting shadows? Once again, the heavy question loomed. What truths waited just beneath the surface, ready to come crashing down like waves over their fragile plans? The next morning dawned bright and slightly crisp, the kind of day that seemed to breathe life into every corner of their small town. Sarah stepped outside, inhaling the fresh air, but her heart still felt heavy. The excitement from the night before had been dampened by Carla's words, echoing in her mind like a haunting melody. Determined to shake off the lingering doubt, she focused on her mission. With every step, her thoughts drifted to how to rally the community around their cause. They needed to set a date for the first community meeting to brainstorm ideas. She envisioned food trucks lining the streets, kids playing on the green, families mingling, all making cherished memories while reinvigorating their town. It was time to breathe life back into the mill and the people. She decided to stop by the diner, hoping to catch a few familiar faces. The bell above the door jingled as she entered, a sound that always filled her with warmth. The aroma of fresh coffee and pancakes wafted through the air. She spotted a couple of townsfolk, gathered at a corner table, deep in conversation. As she approached, an older woman named Martha looked up, a smile breaking across her face. "Sarah, did I hear you're planning something big with the mill?" "Yes. We want to revitalize it, bring the community back together," Sarah said, her voice brimming with hope. "I really think we can do this. We just need to get people on board." Martha exchanged glances with the others at the table, a spark of interest igniting in their eyes. "You know, I've been telling my neighbors about that place. We used to hold the best bake sales there. If you rally the troops, I can bring in my famous pies." "Yes, that's exactly the kind of spirit we need." Sarah felt the warmth spreading in her chest, seeing a small wave of enthusiasm swell. As they discussed ideas, more people joined in, each contribution building momentum. However, in the back of her mind, doubts still lingered. Would Carla's skepticism suffocate their plans before they had a chance to bloom? But the camaraderie she felt in the diner fueled her resolve. As they left, Sarah spotted Luke across the street. He was pacing back and forth, his expression more serious than she remembered. She waved, and he hurried over, concern evident on his face. "Hey, what is going on?" "Martha and a few others are excited about the mill. We're forming a plan. It feels like it's actually happening." The excitement burst forth, spilling over her worries for a moment. Luke nodded, but his gaze drifted, as if assessing something far beyond their conversation. "That's good," but he hesitated. "Do you think it's enough? What if Carla is right?" The question hung between them, heavy and pregnant with doubt. Sarah could almost see the clouds of uncertainty gather. "We can't let fear dictate this, Luke. We have to believe even if it's hard." He took a deep breath, and the shadows of his past flickered across his face. "You're right, but we can't overlook the challenges either. It's going to take more than hope. We need a strategy, something solid." As they walked back to the diner, arm in arm, the energy pulsing through their conversation felt electric. Yet, as much as they were building towards something bright, an unshakable sense of something lurking beneath the surface remained. "After we gather the community again, let us talk about your past. I want to know what's been holding you back," she said cautiously, feeling the tension settle between them. Luke's grip tightened slightly, and she met his gaze. There was a flicker of raw vulnerability in his expression. "Okay, just be prepared. The past can be messy." The air felt thick with unsaid words as they stepped back into the warmth of the diner. Would the stories from yesterday help them forge a brighter tomorrow, or would they bring everything crashing down? Just then, the bell jingled again, and in walked Carla, a determined look on her face. What would her entrance bring? Would it be confrontation or, maybe, a glimmer of support? Sarah's heart raced. The moment Carla entered, the buzz in the diner quieted. All eyes turned, and the atmosphere shifted from excitement to tension. Sarah's heart raced, a mixture of apprehension and hope swirling within her. What would Carla say? Would she crush their dreams or offer a lifeline? Carla exuded determination, her expression unreadable. She made her way towards Sarah and Luke, each step punctuated by a sense of purpose. Sarah prepared herself, bracing for the worst. "Hey," Carla said, her voice steady but low. "Carla," Sarah responded, trying to sound casual as a knot twisted in her stomach. "I'm glad you're here. We were just talking about the mill." Carla's gaze shifted from Sarah to Luke. "I've been thinking a lot about what you two are trying to do. It's ambitious, but it's not enough to just want it." Luke nodded, his brows furrowing. "We understand. That's why we're looking for a plan, something solid. We want to bring the community together. Community, everyone talks about it. But what does it actually mean when push comes to shove?" Carla asked, her question hanging like the mist outside the diner. "Do people even want to come back? They've been disappointed before." "I believe they do," Sarah replied, passion igniting in her chest. "We need to give them a reason to believe in something again, to be a part of something positive." Carla held Sarah's gaze, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. "And what if they don't want to be part of it? What if you're fighting a losing battle?" Sarah felt the weight of Carla's skepticism pressing down, but she pushed back. "What if it's a win? What if we bring everyone together and create something beautiful? We can host events, share stories, spark new traditions." The tension crackled between them. Luke leaned in, intensifying the moment. "This is about more than just the mill. It's about healing the community, giving people hope." Carla sighed, her shoulders slumping slightly. "All I see are memories. What if those memories aren't enough to rally everyone? What if this fails again?" The diners around them murmured, sharing sideways glances and hushed whispers. Sarah felt their eyes, a collective hope mixed with doubt. It was like standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to leap but terrified of the fall. "Carla," Sarah said, softening her voice, "what if we could do it together? You know the history better than any of us. What if you could help guide this?" Carla crossed her arms, her posture still guarded. "And where do I fit in? I'm just the one who questions everything." Sarah stepped closer, her heart racing. "But questioning is important. It helps us grow. We need you. I need you. Can you really turn your back on something that could light a spark in our town again? You're more valuable than you realize." The air felt electric. Carla was quiet, and Sarah could see the gears turning in her mind. The others in the diner were listening intently, caught in the swirl of possibility. "What if we start with something small?" Carla finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. "A gathering, an event to see if anyone shows up?" "Yes, that's it." Sarah enthused, her heart lifting. "We can gauge interest, build from there. Together." As excitement surged within the diner, Sarah glanced up at Luke, who gave her a small, encouraging smile. There was a glimmer of hope igniting between them, a chance to create something new. Still, Sarah couldn't shake the lingering dread that their hard work could unravel. As the ideas bounced around, she felt the weight of responsibility. Could they really bring it all together after so many disappointments? And, more importantly, would Carla's reluctant participation be the turning point they desperately needed, or would it come with its own set of challenges? Just as the chatter grew louder, Carla looked at Sarah, her eyes narrowing slightly. "But I warn you, if this goes south, don't say I didn't tell you so." And with that, the challenge was set. Sarah's heart raced with adrenaline at the prospect ahead, but she knew deep down, this was only the beginning. How could they turn the uncertain whispers into a passionate call to action? And could the shadow of doubt lurking in Carla's heart be transformed into a beacon of hope? The diner buzzed with renewed energy. Ideas poured out, weaving into a tapestry of dreams and plans. Luke and Sarah exchanged glances, their hearts racing. They could feel the weight of the moment. Everyone was on board, a community collectively rising from the ashes of doubt. "Let us set a date," Luke said, gripping the edge of the table, his enthusiasm infectious. "A Saturday, maybe. We can throw together a potluck, invite everyone. Just get them through the door." Carla's brow knitted, but her lips curled slightly. "A potluck sounds nice, assuming people will bring anything." "They will," Sarah asserted. "They just need an invitation, a little nudge. We all miss that sense of belonging." Her voice trembled with fervor. "You know, the community dinners we used to have. Those were magical." Carla looked thoughtful, a flicker of nostalgia crossing her face. "I remember the last one. It was a disaster," she muttered. Fights broke out over the last slice of pie. Let us make sure this one is different, Luke pressed, leaning closer. We learn from past mistakes. It's about healing and moving forward. Just then, a diner regular named Betty, sitting a few booths away, hopped up. I'm in. I can make my famous macaroni and cheese. Best in the county. With Betty on board, others began to chime in, voices overlapping in excitement. I can bring brownies. Someone else shouted, count me in for salads. The energy swelled around the three of them, wrapping them in a wave of hope. Sarah's heart soared, yet the familiar, gnawing worry crept back in. Let us think this through, Carla said, raising her hand slightly to quiet the room. We need to strike a balance. If we get too many ideas, we could lose sight of our goal. Right? Focus, Sarah agreed, nodding. What do we want to achieve with this gathering? Connection? A rekindled sense of belonging? The diner fell silent for a moment. Then, someone Sarah couldn't see who broke the quiet. How about we share stories? We could have a time where folks bring their memories of the mill, share how it impacted their lives. Carla's eyes softened. That could really resonate. Remind us of who we are and where we've been. And set the stage for where we are headed, Luke added, the plan taking shape. A call to action that presents opportunities. Yet, apprehension bubbled beneath the surface. The doubts that had been whispered earlier now loomed large as they discussed the logistics, permits, publicity, food arrangements. The tasks ahead felt daunting. Will we see enough interest? Sarah thought out loud. What if the people don't show? What if we're putting our hearts on the line for nothing? A silence enveloped them. The questions hung heavy, dark clouds threatening their burgeoning hopes. Carla reached for the salt shaker, fiddling with it. We have to prepare ourselves for disappointment, too. Sometimes a spark doesn't ignite. Sometimes it just fizzles. Luke reached across the table, placing a hand over Carla's. But that's the risk we take, isn't it? We owe it to ourselves to try. Maybe this can be different. With a deep breath, Sarah spoke, voice firm. This isn't just about the mill or a single gathering. It's about starting a movement. If we can just bring people together, share their stories, we could create lasting change. A buzz circled amongst the diners again, infectious energy sparking hope, feelings, and memories shared over plates of homemade food. All right then, Carla conceded, a hint of a smile breaking through. Let us do this. But remember, I'll be keeping my eye on things. In that moment, hope rekindled. It felt fragile yet strong. They could do this. They were ready. As the laughter and planning swirled around them, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Together, they would navigate this journey. Yet, the thought lingered at the back of her mind what challenges lay ahead. Under the surface of excitement, doubt still lurked. Would their efforts really ignite a brighter future? Or might they stumble again, just when hope felt so close? And thus, as they prepared for the first tentative step forward, the flickering question remained: could they rise from the shadows of yesterday, or would the ghosts of failure hold them back once again? The next few days felt like a whirlwind. Sarah, Luke, and Carla spent every moment preparing for the potluck, trying to transform their vision into reality. They printed flyers, each adorned with cheerful colors and promising words. Join us for a night of stories, food, and community. The excitement was palpable, but each task also stirred doubts in Sarah's mind. As they hung the flyers around town, Sarah noticed faces she hadn't seen in a long time. Some nodded in recognition, while others passed by with indifference, hearts closed off from the hope surrounding them. She felt the weight of every missed connection. What if people don't care? She whispered to Luke one afternoon as they stood in front of the diner. He shrugged, his determination unwavering. We can't let their uncertainty dim our light. We just need to create spark. Keep believing. That night at home, Sarah sat alone in her kitchen, a hot cup of tea steaming in front of her. The quiet was deafening. She could hear the tick-tock of the clock, each tick a reminder of how swiftly time was moving. What if they failed? The thought crowded her mind, erasing the brightness from earlier. She put her head in her hands, feeling the weight of expectation. She wanted this to work, not just for herself, but for everyone. The next day, the group met again at the diner, now buzzing with more chatter as the date approached. Betty was in full swing, mapping out her culinary contributions, her laughter echoing. Sarah felt her spirits lifting a little, but Carla's furrowed brow caught her attention. Something on your mind? Sarah asked. Carla hesitated. I just worry about the turnout. We don't want to be left alone with a mountain of food and no one to share it with. Luke jumped in. If we spread the word, if we make enough noise, people will come. They want this. They need this. But do they? Carla countered. We all say we miss community, but maybe that's just talk. They fell into silence, the air thick with uncertainty. It was Sarah who finally broke it. I think they do miss it. Maybe they're just waiting for someone to reach out. Her voice was soft, but her words clung to the air like a promise. Hope glimmered in the corners of their eyes as they envisioned the communal warmth they yearned for. As the potluck day drew nearer, Sarah rallied the energy within her. The diner's walls would come alive, filled with stories, laughter, and memories. Could it be enough? She remembered a phrase her grandmother often said. Sometimes all you need is a little hope to see a better tomorrow. On the eve of the big day, nerves twisted in her stomach like a coiled rope. What if no one came? She picked at her nails, anxiously flicking through messages on her phone. Everyone had confirmed they'd decontribute, but would they actually step through those doors? Then an unexpected knock on the door shattered her thoughts. It was May, a single mother from the neighborhood whom Sarah had once befriended. May's smile was warm, despite her tired eyes. I heard about the potluck, she said, stepping inside with a covered dish. I want to help. Surprised, Sarah felt a rush of gratitude. You're joining us? That's amazing. I wouldn't miss it. We all need this, kids too, May said, nodding toward the dish. Tuna casserole, their favorite. Sarah's heart lifted. Could it be? Could each new face lead to others, bringing their own dishes and memories, their own stories? As they chatted, Sarah felt a shift. This wasn't just about the diner or the food. It was about something bigger. They were weaving the kind of net that could catch people when they fell. Maybe May stepping through her door opened a wider path for others to follow. And there it was again, the little glimmer of hope reigniting within her. But the night before the event, as Sarah lay in bed, she couldn't shake the pit of uncertainty in her stomach. Would tomorrow truly be a turning point? Or would it just unveil deeper disappointments? As she finally drifted off to sleep, a single thought echoed, leaving her wrestling with an anxious heart. What awaited them when the doors opened? Would they finally create a space for belonging, or was this simply another dream slipping away? The day of the potluck dawned bright and inviting. Sarah awoke to the sun filtering through her curtains, casting playful patterns on the walls. Today was the day everything they had worked for, all the hopes and dreams, would unfold before them like a story waiting to be written. She felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach as she poured herself a cup of coffee. She could already hear the distant sounds of laughter and clinking dishes from neighbors preparing their contributions. Ethan bounded into the kitchen, sleep still in his eyes, but excitement bubbling beneath the surface. Big day, huh, Mom? He said, a lopsided grin grazing his face. Absolutely, big day. Are you ready? She asked, her heart swelling with pride as he helped her set up the dining table with colorful tablecloths and makeshift centerpieces of wildflowers from their yard. As the early afternoon approached, Sarah stepped outside to take in the view. People were beginning to gather at the diner, each familiar face bringing comfort and warmth. She felt like she was on the edge of something monumental, the invisible stitch of community binding them together stronger than ever. The old bell above the diner's door jingled warmly as the first guests filtered in. One by one, families, friends, and even old-timers who had once been a part of the town wandered in, with dishes in hand, stories ready to share. Each smile anchored her confidence deeper, as Ethan dashed around welcoming the guests at the door, his infectious energy spreading like wildfire. Luke arrived with a few friends, and the sight of him brought an additional wave of comfort. Are you ready for this? He asked, his eyes sparkling with anticipation. Ready as I'll ever be, Sarah replied, her heart racing. She took a deep breath, glancing around the room filled with faces. There was an air of expectation, a mixture of nerves and excitement hummed like a chorus. They were ready to connect, to share a part of themselves. As people settled in, Sarah stood up, her voice steady yet filled with the raw emotion that came with vulnerability. Thank you all for being here today. It means the world to us more than you know. Her gaze swept across the crowd, witnessing the tentative yet hopeful expressions mirrored in their eyes. Today isn't just about the food, she continued, but about each of you, sharing your stories and memories. This place, the old mill, it's a part of our heritage. Together, we can revive its spirit and our community's potential. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Carla stood at the back, her arms crossed, but something had shifted in her expression. She nodded slightly, the warmth in her eyes undeniable, perhaps reflecting an unexpected affection for what they were creating. As laughter began to weave its way through the conversations, Sarah looked down at the carefully handwritten placards she had placed around the room, each marking personal stories shared by the townsfolk. The food ranged from best-loved family recipes to nostalgic childhood favorites. Every dish told a tale, and every shared taste transported them back to cherished memories. 2 hours passed like minutes, and before Sarah knew it, the diner was alive with stories exchanged over heaping plates of food. It felt like an orchestra, a symphony of voices, laughter, and connection, harmonious in their shared hope. Sarah noticed Luke engaging with Ethan and the younger kids, his animated gestures drawing smiles and snickers. But, just when she was wrapped in the magic of togetherness, the time came for everyone to share their own stories. Encouragement surged and the room quieted, anticipation crackling in the air. "Who wants to start?" she prompted, her heart racing anew. An elderly man, Mr. Thompson, stood up, his voice shaky with age yet filled with strength. "I remember when the mill stood tall and proud. We held dances there, and kids would play for hours in its shadow. It brought everyone together." As he spoke, a ripple of chuckles and nods washed over the room, each person recalling their favorite memories. Stories intermingled, revealing laughter, tears, and echoes of shared experiences. And then, it happened. Carla stood up, an imploring look on her face. "I always thought the mill was just a pile of bricks and mortar," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "But I see now it's a piece of our home, and I've let my fear blind me." The crowd leaned in, spellbound. "I don't want to be part of the problem anymore," she continued, tears glistening in her eyes. "I want to help." A wave of realization crashed over Sarah. Their fears, their doubts, and their dreams were stitched together in unity, woven into the foundation of the love for their community. The tension that had hung like a weight lifted, replaced by the power of vulnerability. The room erupted in applause, the sound like a symphony celebrating hope and renewal. In that moment, Sarah understood that she wasn't alone anymore. Together, they had forged something beautiful from uncertainty, a bond stronger than any economic crisis could fracture, a spirit more significant than past wounds could ever hold them back. As the night continued, hearts unburdened and hope reignited, Sarah felt tears of joy slide down her cheeks, a radiant smile illuminating her face. They had formed a collective anthem for a brighter future, rooted in shared stories, laughter, and a belief in one another. They were ready to reclaim their home. Just then, a gust of wind fluttered through the open doors, as if the very spirit of the town had taken a breath, alive, vibrant, and full of potential. As the stars twinkled outside the diner, Sarah realized something magical had happened. They were not merely chasing dreams anymore. They were living them together. And with that, she made a silent promise to herself and her community: it would only get better from here. You need to subscribe now to witness more heartwarming transformations and compelling stories. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread these uplifting messages. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this finale. And don't wait, not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey of hope.